guys. It's another morning and back again. It's been a few days, but I had an interesting mail from these guys. If you remember earlier on, I checked it out, and it's a mic called Sabine Tech, and I can highly recommend it for use in the field. It's a fabulous piece of kit. So this one you should really check out, and if you can order it from, you have to go to the Sabine Tech website. I don't really know how to post that yet, but I will try to do it in Postmix. I don't know how to post that. I'll try to do it in post. Sounds good. It is worth checking out. If you have a telephone, it comes with a free software both for iOS and Android, and yeah, it's really a good thing. And the dead cat comes with this. It can take a really hard winds and hard punishment, and that's what you want in the real world. It's windy and you're by the sea or whatever, and this one doesn't take up any place. Just put it in your pocket and you're ready, you're off. Just make sure you have enough power on it, because it's gonna last many hours when you charge it full. I think 6 hours or something like that. And it's a USB kind of charging cable comes with the unit, so it's off and go. If you guys have asked me how do you mic the drums, for instance, I used to do very processed, very mic'd, very hot drums before. I had a mic on each and every drum, and two kick drum mics and two snare drum mics, and yeah. So after many years, I found out that this is bullshit. Actually, this is actually bullshit. It's very good if you need a 1980s kind of drum sound, but if you want to listen to a good drummer with a good kit, it doesn't sound anything near what you do in a kind of multi-microphone way. So whoever came up with that idea, I'm not really grateful, but several years later I found out that okay, if you want to do it with fewer mics but higher quality mics. And that's what I've been doing for the last years. I use 4 mics on a drum kit. And that doesn't depend on the size, or if I absolutely need one more, I'll stuck another one in there. But I could get away with 3. It's actually no problem. But I like to have, especially because I'm working a lot with jazz, or used to do. I like to have sometimes a little bit more control of the snare. So But the point is how you put the mics. That's really important. Do not have. You need the exact same distance from the overheads to the kit. Put them a little bit at each side and point them to the center of the snare. If you get too much snare, just gradually take them a little bit out. But be careful, because here is all the phase problems gonna be a big problem. If you need more kick, point them to the kick, to the beat, where the beater hits. The distance have to be exactly the same. Use a tape measure, or make yourself a string or whatever you need to get this right. And on the kick drum, use a high quality something. I've used a lot of things, but I fell down on the Beta 52. It's an old workhorse that does all the right things in my world, and I tried the RE80s, I tried the D6s, I tried the condensers, I tried everything. I always fell down on the Beta 52 because it has this oomph. It doesn't really need any mix, it's just proper gain when you're there. Especially with the kind of music I'm a sucker for acoustic sound. So I will include a little recording of it. It's a 2-track live recording from a local jazz club. And this is dependent on how you tune your drums, of course. But it's very important. I found out that using more than one mic in the kick is a bull thing, because, and on the snare, the kit doesn't sound like that actually when you listen to it. So and it creates a little bit of phase problems. Of course, you have to turn the phase on the mic or delay the mic, and if you need to delay it, which I can do if I will, you have to measure the distance and make calculations, and you don't have a time to do this. It's much easier just to use one mic. It's the same with the guitars and things. The moment you start using more than one mic on a source, you are in a little bit of trouble, because you will have a phase problem. So I don't care what they say. You can delay and do this and that, and the direct signal will hit before the mic signal, etc., etc. It does something. Even if you delay it 100%, you can hear some kind of funky things going on there, and it's not such a big deal in rock music because it's quite loud and quite noisy. But in very sophisticated music, it is a problem. Some people prefer to mic the piano on the frame close to the center with two of the mics. Don't do that. It doesn't sound good. It sounds honky tonk. Take them out on the sides of the frame, far out. And the two on top, you can adjust accordingly until you get enough high end. Usually I end up halfway in on each side. A few prefer to take off a lot of the lids. Well, I'm not all that keen on doing that because I think it makes the piano sound very mushy and very all over the front. I like to keep the sound inside the piano where it's supposed to be. A grand piano is a different story, but there you need a bigger stage, and that's not an option in a jazz club. So I will, as I told you, include a recording, and most people do a big major mistake in trying to get the piano way too loud in the mix, and it starts to be very honky in the sound. But you need a distinct piano and a natural one. You have to remember these guys need monitoring, they need whatever, and the better the monitoring you can provide for them, the more down they play. It's probably the single most misunderstood thing. It's how the musicians react to monitoring. Same rule goes, in my opinion, and this I have to emphasize, this is my opinion, because there's 1,000 different ways to do this, but I always find that two decent side fields in conjunction with two good front monitors. On stage, let's say there are 5 or there are 7, 8 maybe. If they have good spread all over the stage and it sounds like a unity, then you're gonna get some good results out. This is actually the most important thing you can spend time on. That's the comfort zone of the musicians. Don't spend time on doing sound out in the room. If you already tuned the system, you know it's gonna sound good. So that's not a problem. The instruments have to sound good. The musicians have to interact on stage. That's more important than you, because if you have a monitor guy, it's no problem. It's not your problem. So. But usually you don't have a monitor guy, and you're like me, you soldier on your own, and you have to set the monitors and everything, you know. And you can do a big job in beforehand here. You can tune up the system, you can tune up the monitor system, and if it sounds good already, it's a breeze to make a good monitor. But if you have a problem with some of the guys playing too loud, then you have to adjust this on the stage, and you have to ally yourself with the weakest link. Pinpoint always the weakest link. Now I mean the less energetic instrument, because they all have to play accordingly. I mean, they have to soften down, so the soft instrument is the weak link. But you can just drag it up in the mix. No, you can't, because, well, you can, but it doesn't sound good. It doesn't sound natural. But if you use a lot of microphones, which I prefer, then you will automatically raise the level of other things leaking into this mic. And that is again a problem if he or she is placed somewhere on the stage where it's very difficult to not pick up a lot of other things. Let's say you have a harp up there or whatever, and you can laugh about that, but that's a fact. A harp turns up, and wow, what do I do now? And that's a different chapter. How to make do a good harp sound. Remember, the natural sound is always what you're after. The point being that it is very important where you put people on the stage, and musicians they sometimes don't really know what's best for them. They pick the worst spot possible for their kind of instrument. It's possible to put your rig on the other side. Nah, he needs the rig, because if he is insecure if it doesn't have the rig, okay, that is gonna be his problem, because he have a rumbly bass on stage. He's been warned, and that's how it is. And it's very easy to detect these kind of problems, because they will show up in the mix at once. So before you start tweaking, start moving things. That's always gonna solve more problems than trying to get around it by using the mix. I'm not saying of course you should use the mix, but do yourself a big favor and try to move around a little bit on the microphones. I mean, a few centimeters makes a big difference. So it can be the difference between catastrophically problems and a very good sound. Till next time, grab your mic and get out there. Cheers.